telling everybody the good news, the core of the joy, and I appreciate that.
She usually gets you there by preaching from across the top.
What's going on, y'all? It's Josh from Team SUPERSHOE. Welcome back to another episode of the Shoe Show. We are not talking shoes like the 1996 most popular shoe, the Reebok Shacknosis. I had one of those. No, we are talking about the one and only Corey LaJoie, the super shoe of NASCAR, and just anything NASCAR related. Super pumped to have you guys here. We have on a fan that, just like you, that I met on the Facebook group of Team SUPERSHOE, Tyler Turner. Tyler and I are going to talk about the most recent races. We are going to be talking about Bristol, Talladega, Martinsville, Dover, Kansas, and Darlington. And we're going to be previewing North Wilkesboro Speedway, where we're going to be watching a shortened version of the last race there for the Cup Series in 1996. And, I may just be bringing on a special guest straight from the Spire Motorsports shop. So I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. If you're here just to watch the watch along and see who's showing up, just fast forward about 17 minutes in, and that'll be it. Otherwise, everybody else is hanging tight. We're going to talk about racing, talking about the current topics, and let's chat with some friends. Tyler. All right, y'all, we are back, and we're going to be talking some racing with a good buddy from the Facebook group Team SUPERSHOE, Tyler Turner. How are you, man?
Good. Just staying busy and excited to come on the podcast and talk a little bit.
Yeah, man. Yeah, well, it's good to have you. I've noticed you on the page a little bit. That's why I've brought you on, and I've seen a lot of your posts where like you have like Corey's sheet metal and gloves, and you got quite a collection.
Yeah, I got it's actually all right there. Actually everything that I have for the most part has been like won contests and stuff. My wife might be a little upset if I was spending, a lot of money on sheet metal and whatnot. So I've got kind of lucky there, but that's
awesome. That's awesome. What do you do for work and where you're from?
So I am the director of digital media and marketing for a company that makes virtual reality video games called Victory XR. And I am from the Quad Cities, Rock Island, Illinois, which is, one of the Quad Cities right on the Illinois-Iowa border. So.
Dang. And you told me earlier, you messaged me about a pretty cool story. Thought you'd want to share.
Yeah. So I think it was like back in 2018, I designed a trophy for NASCAR, for Busch Beer and NASCAR. It was just a Twitter contest, ended up winning it and got to do some cool stuff. Got to present my trophy to Kurt Busch. Thought it was going to be a 1-year thing. And since then I've seen that they've used the trophy design several times. So that's been kind of a cool journey. Got to do a lot of cool stuff with that. So.
Now, folks, fans were invited to submit a design for the Busch Pole Award Trophy that will go to the driver that wins the most pole awards throughout the season. And Tyler Turner from Reynolds, Illinois, created the winning entry, deciding to include a cup in his design after thinking, what's a Busch trophy without a cup to drink from? I think it's pretty smart. We'll see him and his trophy in November at the NASCAR Awards in Vegas when he presents it to the winning driver. And Chase Elliott with the pole win here from yesterday.
That's really cool, man. And so was it like just a 2D, like a Adobe thing you sent to them and then they made it a reality?
Yeah, so I do graphic design stuff for a living, and so I made the 2D one, and then they created the 3D render of that, and then they used the 3 finalists to do like a voting process. So
that's really cool. Did you get anything cool out of that? Like any like hot passes or anything? Or
yeah, we got hot passes to the Daytona July race, and then Chicagoland because we happen to be going already, and then we got to go to Las Vegas for the NASCAR Awards at the end of the year, which was a very unique experience. So
wow, cool. That's awesome. Well, good, man. Well, I brought you on to talk about the most recent races. I have a collection, I think 5 or 6 races, and just going to spit out the races, the interesting things, and we'll just go back and forth and talk about some of the topics that arose from each one. So
awesome.
First one up was Dirty Bristol. They Christopher Bell won. Finally, we had a dirt racer win a dirt race there under the Cup League. And Corey finished 30th, which was not a very exciting day for us. But, that's 8 races deep. He finally had a disappointing race. So I'll take it, man, because last 2 years, man, it's been a struggle. So this year's definitely been moving forward for Spire Motorsports. And I wanted to ask you, man, what do you think about Bristol, and should we keep, because I guess they haven't fully renewed the contract that I have heard, at least. Do you think we should keep that dirt race at Bristol next year?
So first of all, P30, that was normal a couple years ago. And so it's really nice that that's a bad week. So pretty stoked about that. As for Bristol dirt, my opinions change a lot. Like somebody could say a really good point to me and say, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, okay. But my personal opinion, just based off of, face value, is that the only thing I don't like is that for all year pit stops matter. And then you come onto a dirt track and then pit stops don't matter. There are no pit stops. And I just like the team aspect of the sport and pit strategy playing a role in it. So I think that's my biggest complaint with Bristol dirt. I think it had its appeal for a couple years, and then it's kind of lost that appeal, and I could live without it. But I hope that if they do continue to do it, that they can find a way to do pit stops, or even go somewhere else where they can do pit stops. So
yeah, I would agree. I think honestly, it's a type of racetrack. I'm okay with it as long as it's not a points race. I kind of feel like it's a little bit unfair because although a lot of these guys have backgrounds, even if they have a background and they did it 10 plus years ago, it's not going to be the same as a cup car that's not made for dirt. They make some of their modifications, but ultimately it's not a dirt car. So
yep.
I think it's kind of unfair, and I just don't think it should be a points race. Remember, I don't know, 15 years ago, they used to be that Tony Stewart's pay-per-view, Preludes to the Dream. I would rent it every year, and it was awesome. It was a great, and it went to charity. It was awesome. And I'd do that all over again. I just, I wish they would do something more like that than making it a points race. So
yeah, I would agree with that. I'm not, yeah. So,
but next up, Martinsville, the truck series had these rear flashing lights for their when they had the sprinkle tires on, and the tires seemed to work well for a wet track. But those lights, man, they got to do something with that. That's something I definitely noticed. Corey got up to 14th. He finished 26th, a lap down. Larson got his win with Hendrick, and it's Hendrick's 300th win. And you had the infamous, or I don't know if say infamous, but the feud between Corey and Kyle Busch, which is quite interesting. I wanted to show this video real quick.
The underlying motive for everybody, and that's kind of what got my frustration with Kyle Busch when we started door smashing each other. You get in those positions where if you're needing a yellow and you're needing a pit, you're looking to wreck somebody. That's what you get, because you can't afford to come down pit road and get stuck by a caution. So when Kyle Busch, I'm bleeding. I went from 15th to 19th, 20th. My rear tires are blown off of it. Kyle's going backwards too, so he was frustrated. But he drove into my left rear 3 different times off the corner. Boom. Looking to cut my tire down. Maybe he wasn't, but when you, after 3 times,
he turned underneath you?
Yeah.
And then he kind of couldn't keep driving and kind of bounced off you?
Kept driving the left rear tire. I'm like, okay, buddy. 1's okay. 2, all right, dude. I'm sorry. 3, okay, mother. Come off 4 the next time, and he drove in there again 4 times. It was over the span of 6 laps just driving there. So he gets to my door, and I just yank a left. Here's the thing. Don't drive into my left rear and try to cut it down. That's
so you're making a point. I mean, he was driving into you, probably making a point hey, let me go.
Right.
And you're driving into him no, we're freaking racing. Stop driving into me.
Right.
Have you guys talked?
No. Here's how the conversation went. Somebody asked me on Sirius XM. Here, I ran 26th, he ran 21st, right? Neither one of us are in good spirits. And here's the thing. I'd go down there yo, stop driving my left rear. He'd be like, yo, get out of the way. Okay. See you later. Don't drive in my left rear. Hey, get out of the way next time. That'd be how the conversation went.
It's not worth. You feel like it's not worth having that conversation.
For 26.
If you're running 9th.
Yeah, then yeah.
Yeah.
And also, if it ends with one of us around, then whoever got the short end of the stick would probably be mad enough to go say something.
Or if it happened a lot, like weekly,
Yeah.
like the 1 and the 11. You guys really don't
Kyle
race
and I
around each
race
other
for
much.
yeah,
do you?
like we've raced around each other in super late miles and different spots. Like rarely is what's he won 1,000 races in NASCAR. I've won. Let me count 0.
All right. And so Kyle ended up saying that he's been a pain in the dick to race around. And when I go to lap him, he seems to drive 20% harder. And mentioned Corey also, which was interesting that Corey was not penalized after he went on his, he went on his podcast. He went on Sirius and said that, I was trying to get a yellow. So I was trying to make my own. And, I am surprised as well that Corey didn't get any repercussions from that, or at least none that we know of. So I wanted to ask you with this happening and with Corey kind of, being in a mix a little bit more than what people are used to, do you feel like Corey is becoming aggressive as Spire is getting better?
Yes and no. I actually we'll get to Ross stuff later, but I feel like I've kind of seen that side, like the Ross Chastain side of Corey a little bit this year. Not to the degree of Ross, but I think you're starting to see it in everybody because the cars are so strong that you can afford to, send it a little bit and not ruin your day. But I think like I don't know. I guess the one thing that I didn't like about the way Kyle Busch handled that is in his interview, he always, you always hear these like guys that have always been in good equipment and then talking about a guy that's been in bad equipment. And they always say, I'm usually used to lapping them, or I'm usually and it's almost like a jab. And it just drives me nuts because like Kyle's never driven bad equipment in the Cup Series in his life. And so, that whole thing kind of just like that was the part that really got me. So
yeah, and I do think that driver etiquette is changing too. I remember watching back in early 2000s, and Jimmy Johnson would be complaining about cars not moving over for him that he's lapping, and nowadays it's that is definitely not the same mentality. At least it's from what I see on TV. Is that even when Corey's getting lapped, I mean, he'll be respectful. He's not going to wreck anybody that's passing him, but he's still going to race his line and let that guy run around him. So, just interesting debate and interesting. I'm glad that I like seeing this. I want to see more feuds with Corey. I want to see him getting fired up. I want to see him. It's good TV because if they know your name, then you're doing something right. So
yeah, absolutely.
Next up was Talladega. Corey finished 24th. He was as high as 5th, but that was kind of like during a pit cycle. He was around 15th all day. He is the late block by Logano, which I don't really blame Logano. He was kind of put up there in a weird spot, but that unfortunately ended Corey's day where he ended up hitting him and caused a wreck. The Kyle Larson wreck was pretty alarming. They had the right side of the car, the roll bars went in, but I guess NASCAR says that's by plan and that's not how it would happen if it got T-boned on the left side. But that was quite interesting and kind of scary. Kyle Busch won, and it was Harvick's 800th start, so another monumental deal for Harvick. So that's pretty cool. Up next is Dover. I applaud the track for calling it on Sunday because it had been raining all weekend, and they called it at 10:30 a.m. They didn't even try. And honestly, I wasn't at the track, but from going to races, I would much rather that happen than be stuck in the stands and just hoping that you are going to get it in, and whether it's not in the middle of the night. I mean, I've been at one time where I was at the Pepsi 400 early 2000s, and Tony won, but they didn't start the race till like 11 at night, and then after the race. And Tony won, and I wasn't particularly happy with Tony Stewart back then. Afterwards we had to walk through the muddy parking lots to get to our car and leave and sit in hours for traffic, and it was horrible. So I like the fact that they're at least being progressive with, saying let's just go ahead and make the safe bet and do it tomorrow. So Corey, he finished 14th, which is a good day for us. Only the top 12 were on the lead lap at the end of the race, which is kind of a bummer, but it's, kind of reminds me of old school racing. But it was still really good racing. I thought that Dover really delivered. Chastain wrecks the 15 in the first stage. I don't know, it was like 50 laps in, which wrecked into the 5 and caused that fiasco. And so I wanted to ask you, he went on the radio and he said something along the lines of, man, he said, I didn't mean to hit him. Gosh, he even said gosh. And I'm like, and I'm, I kind of become a Ross fan. Last year, I like aggressive driving as long as they own up to it, though. I don't like a Logano who's like always backtracking. Now, granted, NASCAR's kind of creating that world where you have to lie or else you're going to get in trouble. But either way, I don't mind an aggressive driver. What I don't like is that every time he comes out, I'm starting to believe that he really is just making these dumb mistakes, which is making it hard for a fan to really back him. How many times do you have to have an excuse for your driver? So wanted to ask you, do you buy these excuses? Do you think that he's really messing up, or do you think this is just all a game so he doesn't get in trouble?
I don't think he's messing up because I think it's all intentional. Or not intentional. Like, I don't think he goes in there and says, I'm going to wreck this guy or anything like that. But he's just there's a difference between aggressive and just being stupid. And I can't remember exactly, but I think it was Coda this year. I just remember watching Ross on the restarts and he just kind of sends it in there. Go back to the Hail Melon. He said it was, he kept referencing the GameCube. Sometimes I feel like he races like he's playing GameCube a little too much. Ross is definitely one of the guys I pull for the most. I like how he's kind of like Corey in a sense where he, grinded it out and got to where he's at. So that's one thing I really like about him. But I'm kind of with you where I'm starting to, each week it kind of gets a little harder to have his back a little bit and root for him. But he still hasn't made me mad enough to stop rooting for him. So I don't know.
Yeah. It reminds me of my grandfather grew up, my whole family watched NASCAR, and my grandfather used to be a big Dale Earnhardt fan, and he was for, I don't know, 10 plus years. And he stopped rooting for Dale Earnhardt when Dale wrecked Terry Labonte at Bristol in, I don't know, 96 or whenever that was. And that was it. He was like, he threw all of his stuff out. He's like, I can't cheer for him anymore because it was just so blatant and he couldn't do it. So, I mean, I don't know. Chastain fans are starting to go down that path. We'll see what happens. So, next up was Kansas. Corey finished 20th after a crappy day, so I will take that finish. Hamlin dumped Larson at the end. It was kind of a racing deal, but quite an interesting move that Hamlin did, and we'll just chalk that up as a racing deal. And the big story of that weekend was Gragson versus Chastain and their fight and the awesome Chastain punch. I mean, good for him. I mean, that's definitely a plus on his side that he told him to stop, and that was quite a good fight, and it felt good because I like a good pit road fight, and we haven't had them in a long time in the Cup Series. So all these drivers just like to talk to each other now or complain on Twitter. So I'm okay with it. So we need more angered Gragson and Chastain, So
and I don't even think Gragson was that mad. I do think that was a little. I think don't get me wrong. I think he was mad. But I think Noah Gregson's the kind of guy that does a lot of things for the camera. And so I think he saw an opportunity everybody's mad at this guy. A lot of people are going to have my back. And do I think he was actually mad? Sure. But I think you would have put Chase Elliott or somebody like that in that situation. He wouldn't have gone up and confronted him like that. So a little for show, I think, but still nice to see it.
Yep. Well, and then we just had Darlington. The Corey finished 16th in the truck race and finished 24th in the Cup race. Honestly, it was his weakest showing yet this year. But still, like you said, his average was 26 last year and the year before. So the fact that we're bummed out that, he was stuck 3 laps down for most of the race and squeezed out of 26. I mean, we're still moving in the right direction. So I think Spire's doing well. And Larson got wrecked by Chastain. And again, hard racing, but how many times is Chastain gonna be in this story? And it's quite interesting that Rick Hendrick came out. I read today that he was like issuing a warning to Ross, saying that you're going to get it back if you're going to mess with my team,
Yep.
which is quite interesting. I don't think I've ever heard Rick Hendrick ever say anything controversial. So, I'm excited to see where things are going to go. Chastain's keeping the sport entertaining for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah, every week, never fails. So
yeah. Well, we are all caught up of races. The next stop, we're going to be talking North Wilkesboro, the 1996 Cup race. There it was the last Cup race we had there before they shut it down for Cup and moved everybody to Texas and replaced it on the schedule. So we're going to watch it, react to it, and hope you guys enjoy.
how you
Tyler,
doing?
how's it going?
I'm
Hey,
doing good. How you guys doing?
I'm bringing in a guest, Roy. He's the engineer for the 7 car. I thought he would be somebody good to
Awesome.
have and watching the 96 race.
Awesome. Nice to meet you, Roy.
Good to see you too, Tyler.
Roy, man, how's it been going in the shop?
It's busy. I mean, getting ready for this weekend. We have simulation tomorrow. Yeah, we're just I don't know what happened at Darlington there, so we're trying to figure that out. Um, after we touched the wall in qualifying, we never really got the car back to where we wanted it, obviously. Um, but yeah, hopefully the next few weeks will be a lot better.
You expect North Wilkesboro to be a good race for these new Cup cars?
Well, I'm hoping, like everyone else is hoping, that it's going to be a great show with the history that the place has. But what we've seen with this package is that the short tracks have not been the greatest of shows with Martinsville, Richmond, the tracks you'd expect to have good racing. This new car has not provided that racing yet. I know they're working on different tire configurations and stuff for it. But I'm hoping, but I am a little doubtful.
Yeah. Either way, it's still pretty cool, pretty exciting to see it. I'm sure it'll be a fun watch on TV at least. So, yeah, man. Well, we've been excited. We've Tyler and I have been talking about the past 5 or so races, and it's been really cool to see Spire and their growth, and the fact that we're disappointed from last week where he's finishing 26, and it took 8 races before we actually had our first disappointment of the year at Bristol Dirt, which I didn't particularly expect a good finish there, but that's pretty cool. It's a good progression for Spire. So really excited to see what the rest of you guys have for the rest of the year. So
Yep. Same. Very much so.
Yeah, no, we're excited on the 7. We've had a good strong run so far this season. We are disappointed in finishing in the 20s now, which is last year that was our goal.
Yeah.
Realistically, we don't like the 20s now. So that's pretty good for us. I think for second year running this car, third year as a basic company, it's been making some good growth, good strides. So I think just continue to work hard and build the company, so
Yeah.
I feel
hire
like
some new people.
I feel like that bad luck has kind of shifted to the 77 this year. So hopefully within a couple of years, or even just into this season, we both cars start having some better luck, and yeah, that'd be really nice to see for Spire as a whole. So
Yeah, the last 2 weeks, the 77 has had more consistency than they've had the start of the season. They've had terrible luck at the beginning of the year. The 7 went through some of that, a few races last year. A lot of the growing pains with the new car, some parts failures, some stuff that we've now taken control of. The 77 out of the gate, just bad luck.
yeah.
And it is unbelievable, but they can turn that streak around and have as many good races as they just like that. So the last 2 weeks I've seen them have some solid practice runs. Unfortunately, with the matrix of of qualifying off your fast lap finishing position, stuff like that. They haven't had good qualifying draws. Ty went out second at Darlington to qualify. Everybody starts going faster after that. And they finished the race. That was a lot better than they did at the start of the season.
Yep.
They put a whole race together, got some notebook together for Ty and the crew chief, Kevin. I think that they're getting better each week, and I think we'll start to see them gel and click off some better finishes than what we see in the start of the year. So
awesome. Well, guys, I have a about 14-minute edited version of the last 1996, the last race we had at a cup race at North Wilkesboro. So kind of watch it, reminisce, react, and talk about it, and hopefully it'll be a good time. So I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna share my screen, and we'll get it going.
The cars are rolling out, and as we enter the 27th race of the 1996 NASCAR Winston Cup season, Terry Labonte an 81-point deficit from his teammate Jeff Gordon. Dale Jarrett and Dale Earnhardt are 160.
Rory, you weren't in NASCAR back then, were you?
No. It's a little loud for me to talk.
Okay,
Yeah, it is a little loud.
I wasn't at that race, no. I've never actually been to North Wilkesboro to race. I started cup racing in 2004.
Okay.
Winston Cup race here at North Wilkesboro. It's Ted Musgrave.
I actually didn't become a fan until about 2003, so this is before my time as a fan even.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I was at Darlington yesterday, and they had a group of the top 75 drivers on stage for a photo, and I'm like looking through the photo, and there's I think 30 guys in the picture, and I've had interaction with pretty much all of them. It's pretty cool to see that. It's getting old.
Dale Jarrett, we are set for the green flag
Well,
here at North Wilkesboro.
if it makes you feel any worse, I was 10 years old when this race happened, so I probably watched it. I don't remember anything about North Wilkesboro, though.
I was 3, so.
I've heard that they haven't repaved the track, that it's still the original asphalt out there.
I'm not sure on that. I haven't paid much attention. I know we have a profile scan of the surface that I run in my modeling. That's about as far as I've gone for the surface. I know it's expecting no grip, just like it always has been. So yeah.
I know this is, I believe this is the track that, was it Corey that had his wedding pictures taken at North Wilkesboro? I think so.
I don't know.
And you could just tell, like, that back then the track was just completely, like, gone. Like, there was nothing left of it. So just the fact that they're even doing what they're going to do is pretty wild. That's actually, believe it or not, the first time I heard about North Wilkesboro, I think, was from that. So.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Because Rockingham was like probably like my North Wilkesboro. Like there, the first couple years I was a fan, and then it just faded away, and I never really realized it faded away until a couple years later. I was like, oh, that track kind of disappeared. So
yeah. I mean,
pit
they're
box
still
is a little bit different.
Yeah, all the pit boxes. I mean, look how long these pit stops take.
It actually, so when I edited this together, I'm actually surprised. I mean, their fast stop were like 16 seconds. I mean, not much different than before next gen.
Yeah, I mean, we're down to 9 seconds now for 4 tires.
Yeah.
I mean, our crew is awesome this year, but yeah.
Get him, Larry Mack. Get him.
I mean, I love these old cars. Like these, they're great. This is great racing.
Bill, as you pointed out, he did, as soon as he came around, he didn't wait for the pace car to pick the field up. He came down pit road. His crew sent him on around, or at least he went on around.
Roy, we've been talking a lot about Chastain. He's been in the news a lot lately. What's your opinion on him?
I'm definitely not a Chastain hater, if that's what a lot of the people are getting at. He's aggressive, and yeah, it's going to be difficult to win a championship. I saw Rick Hendrick in an interview yesterday mention those things. I mean,
And look who's right on Jeff Gordon's
there were
front
some
wheel.
incidents
That
yesterday.
Mast is
I think when
right there
he
waiting
got into
for
the
his
19 at
opportunity.
Darlington there, I don't think it was Chastain's fault.
Good
I think it
clean
was good hard
racing
racing.
there,
You know,
and Jeff
Chastain didn't
Gordon is going
drive
to
down and hit the
pass him, it
19.
looks like.
Chastain hit the wall
Rusty
and
bounce
collected the
back to
19.
outside.
You know,
Now he gets the
um,
lead.
so again, just because it's Chastain, everybody
Contact
jumps
throws
on his case
Wallace out
because
of
of
control.
the aggression he has had. So
Rusty went on. He started to come back
yes, he's
down.
setting
Rick
himself
was
up
going to run
for
in there while he was
for
up
that
high. And I don't
criticism,
think
but he's
Rusty knew he was
also
there.
fast. And
Let's go to Dr.
you
Jerry
know,
Clutch in Rusty's pit.
when I worked with Roger Penske,
Rusty's
he would
car
always
is steady.
say
The car has gotten
he'd
loose.
rather have a
They're gonna change
driver
four tires.
that you try
They're
and
gonna go
pull the
back
reins
up
in
on
and
the
slow
air
down,
pressure in the right front. Right
and you'll get
side
him under
tires going
control
on to the
versus
left
trying to
hand
get a
side of the road.
driver to go
Rusty
fast.
Wallace bringing
You
his
know,
favorite car, the money.
um, and Chastain's that guy. So I think that as a
When he
team,
tagged John
he's
Andretti in turn 3, hit the
they're doing a
Thunderbird on
good
the
job
air
with him.
go.
I don't
Left
have
front
any
tires
criticisms
on the
to him. I
Ford
mean,
Thunderbird. Remember the air
look at the
adjustment
past.
there?
Tony Stewart was aggressive.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know,
17.8
like
seconds.
you'll get that. I
Wow, what
mean,
a great pit stop
Keselowski
by
and
that
Carl
crew.
Edwards were like that at one point too,
Guess
right?
what?
So
Dale
Yeah.
Earnhardt has
he'll
worked
find
his
his
way
spot
into
and
the
settle
lead.
in and have some strong runs.
24th race
I feel like
left
even in
for
like this
Dale
race, you can
Earnhardt.
see like
Here's how he got around Jeff
more
Gordon.
aggressive driving used to be more normal, and so I feel like I even last week I was watching the
Don't like him out
Darlington
on track like
2003
this,
race
but
that
he
was
goes
just
up
on
there,
TV
has
a
a
little
lot of
bit, and like
confidence in Gordon, and
everybody was
Gordon
beating
didn't
and
fight him.
banging,
He
everybody was
just,
driving like
let him
Ross
go.
Chastain. I felt
And
like
one Rick
so.
Gordon, when he
I
got
kind of
in the
like
lead,
it.
Dave
I
Marcus
don't
got together,
necessarily
looked
want
like they're
everybody to
tired,
drive
maybe
like
revving a
that,
bit. How
but
about it, Jeff Hutch?
I'm here for it.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take any talent to drive in the back of somebody and spin them out. You
Yep.
know, passing somebody, yes, that, and on lap 80 of a race, probably not the time to do it. On the last lap, okay,
Right.
and even then, it sucks for the guys that are not getting the win or getting a wrecked race car out of the deal, right? But I get that as a racer. There's only so many times you can get your position to win, and you might as well take advantage of it that way, you know. But wrecking a guy for 10th or 14th or something like that, no, that's he's way more talented than that. And I don't think he deliberately does it. He just drives aggressively and puts himself in situations, and
Right.
he'll learn to back it down and when to go. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, I think he's in the news just because people are trying to make news.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Is that? Do you feel like that's the typical thought of somebody being in the garage working on these cars all week, and then that it's the same? Do you think most people think like you that, hey, you know what, last lap, that's how racing goes, versus being mad that aggressive driving is happening?
well, I mean, what did you think of the last lap of the truck race this weekend? Did you see it when John Hunter got taken out?
Yeah, when he hit him off of 4 and lost control. Yeah, I mean that was a driver just going for it, but he wrecked
Right.
himself. Versus like maybe Hamlin that wrecked the 5 a week ago,
Yes.
but it was still a racing deal. But I would imagine that has to be very frustrating for somebody that had been working on it for weeks on end,
Definitely. I mean, as crew guys, we're frustrated, right? The 5 crew, they've had 3 weeks of wrecked race cars. They were pitted beside us, yesterday, and they were pretty much probably going to win the race. They had a strong car all day, and they got involved in a wreck with Chastain. So it's unfortunate, but again, like John Hunter interview was perfect. I think he handled that interview perfect. It was a racing deal. The media was trying to get him to say, oh, he shouldn't have been taken out. So,
yep.
I threw this commercial in here because I thought it was so funny. Just all the fans and the music.
Yep. Yeah, I love watching some of the throwbacks they do on TV during the rain delays. They replay some of the races, and This one I watched on YouTube just for the history of it, and to see all the old drivers, old crew guys.
Yeah.
Larry Mack's old crew chief now. Analyst now. So it is pretty interesting to see all the history of the sport.
Right.
And you don't find fans any better than they are right
I think
here
with
at
with it being the
North
All-Star
Wilkesboro.
race at North Wilkesboro, you might also see like a little bit more aggressive driving. I feel like during the All-Star race, there's no points on the line or anything, so like any respect that does exist kind of goes out the window a little bit. So I think because of that aspect, it actually could end up being a pretty good race. But with that said, like, what defines a good race, and I think that a lot of different things can define a good race. I was thinking the other day, like, I always look at Jeff Gluck's poll when he's talking about, was it a good race? And I always see people say, like, some people say no to, like I thought Kansas was one of the best races I've watched in a long time, and 7% of people said it wasn't. So, somebody out there didn't care for that. So, I don't know. It's all opinion, but I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, myself, Martinsville should never have a green flag pit stop. And with this next gen car, we're seeing green flag pit stops way more common at these short tracks than we have in the past. I think these intermediate tracks are better racing with this new car. And NASCAR is still trying to develop package with either tire configuration or aero configuration or something to improve racing. So we'll see how it continues or develops. I think that some of the downforce they've taken away this year on short tracks has moved the needle a little bit, but not enough. Like I think probably this year short tracks have become a little bit better racing, but it's still not where we are used to seeing it from years ago.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see this weekend's race out there to see if they can actually hold a second line out there like they were just doing it.
Yeah, I mean it's heat races on Saturday for the All-Star cars. We're an open car. So we're not in the Saturday show. They're doing qualifying, or they're doing starting positions based off their pit crews for our cars. So our pit crews are going to do stops for determining our starting position. So that's going to be I think a big help for us to get a good starting spot. So
Jeff Gordon wins the final race at North Wilkesboro, the Tyson Holly Farms 400. It is his 10th win of the season. That equals the most
10 wins in a season. I don't think you're going to see that much anymore.
Rick Hendrick, you have a tough job. Two of your
Look at young Hendrick.
win on race day, but this
Yeah.
one and its driver have won 10 times.
It's been an unbelievable year. The guys, they work so hard, and I just hope we can stay down this points chase and win it for all our sponsors and for our guys.
How about your driver?
He's unbelievable, isn't he?
He got his name in the North Wilkesboro record book. He's the last guy that'll win a Winston Cup race here, and he'd never been there before.
This place has been awful good to us. We won a lot of races up here.
That's Rick Hendrick, the winning car owner here at North Wilkesboro.
Back at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, the winning car of Jeff Gordon.
This is pretty cool. I didn't realize they had like a lift. That's unique.
Second place goes to Dale.
It's Bristol's the only one that has something like that, right?
it has a victory lane that you drive up to, just on the rooftop of one of the media building.
Good there, and then I got caught up in some lap traffic, but that's the name of the game is be there where you got to be there, and we weren't there at the end.
How about you got a special day tomorrow?
Yeah, we got an open house at Dale Earnhardt Chevrolet. We're going to have a big day down there, so running good today pumps everybody up for tomorrow.
Got to miss Dale and that old school, like you were saying of John Hunter, just that old school interview. Like, yeah, man, that's how things go, and no crying and whining, just it's racing.
I can't say enough for them for this race car. They did a good job, and we really had to take it easy on these tires. The tires were a factor, and racetrack so wore out, and definitely wasn't going to get a new pavement for this last race. So we just had to take it easy on the tires and do the best we could, and manage the tires is what it was all about.
Well, Jeffrey, what an effort as Brooke comes in and gets a big kiss from her husband. Jeff, what an outstanding effort today.
Man, I tell you what, this team is awesome. You know, we just tried to save tires.
I don't know how he still looks exactly the
I
same.
had to change my line on that last set of tires. I learned a little something from.
He managed a good race this race. He didn't. I mean, you saw it a little bit on the replay there. He flat spotted his tire in one of the runs, and he backed off. I think he went from first to 11th or something like that before the cycle. But he was staying out on that tire with the cord, just losing track position. But yeah, I mean, it was. You think about it, they like Ray Evernham was crew chief in that, and he just kept him calm, stayed out.
Yeah, that was a good time. So, well, guys, I appreciate you coming on. I just wanted to bring you on, watch the '96 race, and I guess we'll see how this weekend stacks up, and if it looks just as good as '96. So we'll see.
I hope so.
Hopefully, yeah. Thanks for having me.
Good deal.
Likewise, thank you.
All right, Roy, Tyler, thank you so much.
Yep, have a good one.
You too. Take care. Bye.
Once again, Tyler and Roy, thank you so much for coming on the Shoe Show. It's so cool to be able to talk to fans, talk to people in the shop, and man, what a cool experience. And I hope that Tyler enjoyed that small surprise. He did not know that Roy was coming on. So kind of cool to get the insights from right in the garage, an engineer that's building the rocket that's going to be out at the All-Star race, kicking some ass this weekend. Otherwise, y'all, I appreciate you so much. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, comment, share, all that stuff. We're trying to figure out this algorithm stuff so that more people are exposed to this show. So the more you share it, like it, comment, whatever, the more you help us out. So I truly appreciate y'all. If you are listening on the audio podcast, please rate and review. And if y'all haven't stopped by the Facebook group, if you're on Facebook, it is Team SUPERSHOE. That's where it all started. And this is honestly just an extension from the topics and the conversations that we have every day on that page. So please come hang out with us there. That's where we all meet every day. We chat at race when race is happening. We have a race chat, and it's good stuff. Also, y'all, today should be Wednesday. If you're watching it right when it comes out, please vote my man Corey LaJoie into the All-Star race. The website is NASCAR.com/fan vote. So hopefully Corey has a fast enough steed that we don't have to worry about that. But how cool would it be if we can say that Team SUPERSHOE got our guy into the race? I think that would speak volumes and mean a lot to Corey. Otherwise, y'all, I appreciate you so much for another episode, and thank you for lending me your ears and your time. Hope y'all have a good weekend. God bless, stay safe, and go Corey LaJoie.